Hey, what is up? My name is Matt Workman, and in this video, we're going to hop back into Unreal Engine 5 with Cine Designer, and we're going to be adding MetaHumans to our scene so that lighting is a lot more fun. Lighting a MetaHuman is as close to lighting a real person as you're going to get in the virtual space. They are incredible. And we're going to be upping our light quality to be using ray tracing so we can do even more advanced lighting and gripping and bouncing of light, etc. in Unreal Engine 5. So here we are in Unreal Engine 5 in our duplicated green screen set. And if you watched the previous two videos, you would have seen this lovely assortment of flags and softboxes. So we're going to light this set again. This is going to be probably one of the longer videos, but it's going to be a more full look at like kind of pretty much all the lights we have and the different techniques of lighting that we want to be able to visualize. But very first, we want to go get ourselves some MetaHuman. So if you've never used one before, go watch some other videos on how to use the MetaHuman Creator app. It's on the web. It's not part of Unreal Engine itself. It's a web app. You make a character like you would in a video game, and that's it. And you save it, and then it's magically going to appear in Unreal Engine by using Bridge. Okay, so I'm logged in. I'm not going to show the whole downloading workflow right now. I'm going to go to my local MetaHuman. So I've already downloaded some and a bunch of props. And I've got a bunch of MetaHumans here. And we are going to work with Hannah here. We're going to select her. And we're going to go, I've already downloaded her. We're going to go to add. Again, if you watch other videos on this, they'll go through this in more detail. This is going to add a bunch of common files to your project now. And it's going to download the MetaHuman. These things here, we want to enable. And before we quit out, because we need to restart, we need to go to project settings, which is here, edit project settings. Very important for this next phase of lighting, we're going to switch to using ray tracing for the global illumination to start. That is our light bouncing. This system will work without ray tracing. You can use it in software ray tracing mode, or rather it will work in software ray tracing or hardware ray tracing. However, hardware ray tracing, you get better quality, and that allows us to do more detailed lighting setup. So you can still follow along if you are only going to use software ray tracing, like if you don't have a graphics card that can do that, but you might get slightly different results, but it's still pretty good. However, for the highest quality, again, we want to switch to hardware ray tracing. So we're going to go to rendering here, and we're going to scoot all the way down to this hardware ray tracing support, hardware ray tracing. Sure. We're going to do use ray tracing when available, and we could switch this to hit lighting. I'm still learning how this works, but I'm going to leave it at surface cache. This has been working out okay for me. So we've turned on, again, hardware ray tracing. There's hardware shadows as well. There's a lot of other things, but we're just turning this on for now, and we're going to restart. I'll see you back in a minute. So here we are in this scene. We're going to try to light this scene from scratch, just so that we can look at all the different lights. So to start, we're going to have a bit of a delete here, delete fest. We're going to select our stands. Goodbye. We remember that this is actually 3 objects. All 3 need to get deleted. And we're going to get really dark over here in a second and delete all of our space lights. So it's quite dark. And all we have is the warmth from our overhead 12 by here. So let's just go through this one by one like we're letting it from scratch, because we basically are. I am going to move the truck, give it a scoot so it resets. That's how it is right now. And we'll bring out one space light because we can duplicate this one. It's pretty easy. So I'm going to take the space light and I'm going to put it in our space lights folder, trying to stay organized as the scenes get bigger and bigger. You definitely want to. So the space light, and actually almost all the equipment have this mode where they're like, oh, I'm just on the floor, which is for when I'm going to kind of organize them onto shelves and light carts and stuff like that. What we want to do with this one is switch it to rigged. So now the pivot's up here and we have the actual light source, which is definitely how you would want this to start. So let's drag this over here, and I'm going to float a little bit closer. I don't have a grid system programmed out yet. However, we have the beginnings of it, and eventually you will attach this to the grid actually. which will make spacing and placement just a little bit easier. But for now, we'll just physically move it up there. And it's not even on the right grid snap, so that's good. But we'll just roughly place this here. Now, these space lights are one of the like magical things of Unreal Engine 5. You can pretty much have as many of these as you want. That's not true in Cinetracer, my UE4 app version. That's not true. Spacelites are very expensive there. And they're expensive in almost all programs, except Unreal Engine 5. They are pretty much free, which is pretty crazy. So you could just copy and paste this one, move it over, copy and paste this one, and just keep going. We're going to grab these ones here. These three, how do we feel about this placement? I mean, you'd be looking at the psych, I suppose, to try to make it look good. And possibly in the future, we'll look at scanning stages and how to previs their grids correctly if you're going to like that level of previs. But generally, this should get you through, like, I don't know, I think prevising like a lot of green screens, a lot of different sizes using this stage right here. Even if it's not the perfect size of your green screen, it's going to be pretty close. So there we are with our 6 space lights. Pretty easy. And you can take my word for it, or you can just grab all these and keep duplicating them. You can have like 50 of them in here. I'm 110 frames per second. It's like the more lights I add, the faster it goes, which actually might be true because there's less shadows maybe to calculate. I'm not so sure about that. But anyway, space lights are magical and use them a lot. We'll use them a lot for some like club setups and music videos in the future, changing the colors. Very fun. All the lights in here currently right now cost almost nothing to use. So we're done with our space lights, and what we want to do now is get into the bounce. So bouncing in Unreal Engine 5 does just generally happen for free. However, when it comes to the way that I'm making assets, there's some right ways and there's some wrong ways that I've been learning about. So hopefully this works out here. I am still very new myself to using Lumen. I'm going to put it at 90 degrees over there. We're going to bounce into that. We're basically recreating the setup we walked into in the beginning, but I think it's good to see it all the way from scratch. I'm going to give this light truck again a scooch so that it kind of resets. And we're going to bring in a low stand and a spotlight. Zoom in on these two lovelies and select. Boom. They are now connected. And space mousing around. We're going to over here. How's this looking? It's pretty decent. Okay, so I'm going to rotate this light facing the bounce here. Place it roughly here. And pray that this is going to work. So we're going to select the light here, collect our modifier gallery, and we have a couple different things we can shoot through here. And turns out the Fresnel, it's probably our better of the bounces. Next, I'm going to bring this all the way up to that height. And we're going to go to -35. Is this the right side? So I'm still working through this. There's a lot of things to juggle right now. Only one side of this light, of this frame, will actually bounce light correctly. I think I have a new take on it, a new fix, but that is currently a thing. Only one side will bounce it correctly. It was a mystery. I think I figured it out, but we'll see. And we are back. Okay, so for some reason, I thought I had turned this on, and this might be the same for you, but we want to actually turn on hardware ray tracing and actually turn this on. So maybe those like MetaHuman settings combined with doing this, we didn't do them at the same time. I'm not really sure, but we're actually going to turn on hardware ray tracing now. And I think we might have to recompile shaders. I'll be back in a minute. Let's restart. So now that this is all actually working, which is nice, I'm not sweating at all now. We can move this whole thing around and we get this really nice soft light. And the soft light, the bounce light, is also bouncing, which is pretty wild. It's pretty cool to see that. And now this is going to behave a lot more predictably as a bounce. Again, it is possible to bounce light with software ray tracing. However, there's a couple caveats that I'm not going to go over at the moment, and it's kind of developer level, but hardware ray tracing, it's just a lot more stable and consistent when it comes to this type of lighting. So here is our MetaHuman in this scene now, and all we have is our bounce. So next, let's go ahead and get our kind of like overhead key light going. We can turn this back on. It's just a house light at this point. I'm going to give this a little bit of a move here. Maybe we'll snap back on the grid, and let's go get one of these LED panels. So this one, similar to some of the other objects, is currently in stand mode. So it's for when it's attached to a stand. It has a floor mode for when we're going to put it on like a head cart or something like that. But we're going to go to clamp mode, which looks really similar, but the pivot's here for when we attach it to the grid eventually. So let's go ahead and we're going to add a modifier. Let's add our softbank to it. We have lanterns, diffusion panel, but we're going to go with the softbank. It's kind of our biggest, softest source at the moment. And see if we can get this over here in one move. Boom. So we'll get this one, let's see, into like a nice portrait place. Let's take a peek. Where are we? So the camera's pretty far away. We're going to eventually move into a medium, I think, for this demo. It's going to be a long video. Let's go something like this, and we're looking at roughly like a 45-degree angle. If we don't want to be so toppy for like the chin or for the eyes, depending on, it just depends on their face and their pose a bit. This would be a little bit lower. It depends on the shot if this is in frame or not, but we're going to move into a medium. Almost definitely this is not in shot. So let's tilt this light down -30. Turns out I didn't hit -30. Not bad. -25, something like that. Okay, so here's our two key lights for now. And let's do some quick framing here. I'm going to change, we're very bright. We're going to change focal length to 65. And let's scoot forward. Who's not centered? Is it her that's not centered? It's her. How dare you? Centered now, hopefully. Okay. And we're going to come up a little bit. And I'm going to do the old tilt down. Again, these are not our camera rigs. This is just like a stock camera. I'm going to tilt down -4. Come off snap and scoot it up a little bit. So we're a bit of a down angle now, which is generally safe to do something like that for the portrait shots here, the commercial shots. And how's our key light? Yeah, we're a bit off on this here too. We'll just scoot this over here. So we have our directly over camera key light. Little sketchy, actually. It's a little bit too close to the camera. So we'll do something maybe back here would feel okay. So we'll eventually have goalposts and booms for this type of gripping here. But right now we're using some magic to make it float. So when we're going to tune the lighting, we want to click on our camera and then hit this pin preview. This will keep this little preview down there at all times. This will definitely hurt your frames per second here. It's rendering it twice, so takes a bit of performance away. I'm just gonna kind of loosely focus the camera here, and we're looking okay. So I'm going to turn this light off and look at what this light's doing. I think this is a little over for me. I am going to get up here and turn this one down. Now, it depends on the scene, depends on a lot of things, but I'm going to make this like 400. So it's just a rough ambient light from the side-ish here, a little bit of shaping, and then we just nuke the whole thing and turn this on, which is like our straight up like front-on key light. 30 maybe, 25, 20, maybe 25, something like this. So this is our balance of like kind of, I call it ambient key and kind of like portrait key. This is very much for I mean, it'd be okay for a wide shot, but we're lighting up for a medium. So this whole setup's going to be for a medium. So next, let's take a peek at turning our Spacelites back on, and we can check their light level as well. Turn these on. Not too bad, not too bad. So the next thing I want to look at, I'm going to turn this off, is some of the bouncing that's happening. So if we look closely, it's pretty subtle against this black outfit. If I left it white, it would be a little bit more apparent. But if we look really closely, there's going to be a little bit of green spill from the cyc in her shadow areas, under her arms, under her chin. And there's going to be green spill because she's standing on a green cyc. This would happen in the real world, and this would happen in Unreal Engine 5 with Lumen. So what we're going to visualize now is how we would clean this up in the real world and have a, again, technical previs of that here in Lumen. Oh, my mouse, sometimes when I use the space mouse, kind of freaks out. Anyway, let's go get some grip equipment. We're going to hop in here and grab our T-bone. And we're also going to make a C-stand, which should have spawned next to it. There it is. So let's start with our T-bone over here, our 12 by solid. I think I'm in the floor a little bit over there. We're going to use this as a negative fill on this side. Camera right. Her left, I guess. I'm always bad at that. And we're going to place it out of frame. We are in a medium shot, so we're pretty safe at the moment. Yes, let's put it through the floor. It's this one here. We had a 90-degree angle. We are. So this is going to block the spill from the wall from hitting her. And it's also, hopefully, going to make her face a little bit darker on this side. Just barely. We're still very commercial lighting in here. But if we turn it off, you can sort of see that it's adding a little bit of shadow here. It's not a very dark scene, so it's subtle. But generally, we're trying to have one side darker than the other. Just a little bit. Almost in all cases, to make it seem like it's 3D still. It depends on the type of lighting, and we are still hitting her in the face straight on with a key light, but we have just a little bit of negative fill there. The next one, because I do not have a floor solid at the moment, I'm just going to copy and paste this frame again and spin it down here, and this is our floor. So don't be afraid to just do funny stuff like this. It's going to happen. We're not going to have the perfect objects for absolutely everything, but this still generally works out okay. So we'll scoot in again. And I'm going to, for now, just bring this here, which is fine for our medium shot. And let's see, what do we have going here? So it would be good to start naming stuff. I'm probably not going to name everything, but it would be good to name and organize all these things so that you can kind of turn them off and on. So we have our negative fill. I'm going to put that in film equipment, and that'll be a good start. So we have our negative fill. This is going to take away the green spill from our actor. Let's see if we can see it through here. Sometimes it's a little subtle. She's wearing dark clothing, so it's not like the most obvious thing. But the side of her face should get a little bit darker, and we're cutting off some of the green spill. So that's what's going on there. Next, let's bring in some positive fill on top of that is key light color, that is neutral colored here, using our C-stand. Gonna grab this thing and fly it downtown, and then we're gonna fly and catch up with it. I can hit F too, but I've got the space mouse, so we need the practice. Let us configure this here. I'm actually gonna start, are we done with this? What we can do here is actually do dock to sidebar, all of these, and get a little bit of space back, and then you can just click them to get them back. I've been doing that lately. Very UE5 type situation. I'm gonna go muslin. Oh, we have to switch to flag mode. Then we'll go to Muzz. Then we'll go to Table. Again, I'm not sure Muzz is the appropriate textile to be on there. It's kind of a beadboard, but I have to make a Quaker clamp for it and some other stuff. So I just said muslin. I don't know why. If you look closely, this is adding just a little bit of bounce to her under her chin and under her eyes. This would also be adding a bit of eye bounce as well. So pretty subtle, but you can see it if you look closely when you're trying something like this. And in real life, I would you definitely do this. It's not subtle at all. You would almost always want this for a beauty type setup. I'm going to duplicate this, and we're going to switch this to upright. And again, don't fear breaking physics. It's okay. I don't have a mode for the C-stand that will allow you to grip it like this. So we just put it into the ground. And we're going to put two of these right next to each other. So consider this like a 4x8 beadboard, that sort of thing. We're not going to have the perfect gripping for every single object possible, but that would be the goal. But not at the moment. So here we are in, I believe, our final setup. We have our bounced kind of body key light, and then our above the camera, straight on, beauty eye light, butterfly light situation going on there, your traditional key light. 6 space lights, massive overkill for a medium shot, but again, consider we were shooting on a site like this, multiple people, full body shots, and then you moved into your close-up. This is typically what would happen here, given you had the time and you were really going for like beauty shots and it was a single camera shoot, you could pull this off, etc. We have our negative fill is going to prevent green spill for this close-up, just make it a little bit easier on the who's ever pulling the key and coloring this, you know, it's going to look better. And then we have our positive fills bringing back some bounce that's not green. So these ones are less subtle. If you look at the bottom right, we can really see this fill coming in now. So that wraps up for this video. It might have been kind of long, but you know, I wanted to show what it looks like to light a scene from scratch, and we got to use most of the lights and do most of the lighting techniques that are possible in Unreal Engine 5 to light it's technically an interior, but it's kind of an exterior, like an open space. When we get into actual interiors in the next videos, lighting is a little bit more precise. We care a little bit more about shadows, but hopefully this illustrates just like the power, the speed, and just how nice this whole ecosystem looks. Unreal Engine 5, MetaHumans, Lumen, and then my tiny addition to it, the Cine Designer assets. We're just so much closer to pre-visualizing lighting, visualizing lighting like we're on set. This is the closest it's ever been. I've made this type of stuff in Maya Arnold, Cinema 4D physical render, or Cinema 4D Redshift, Unreal Engine 4 for Cinetracer, and now finally in Unreal Engine 5 editor with Lumen. With hardware ray tracing, software ray tracing, they're both pretty good. Hardware is obviously a bit nicer, a little bit more nuanced. The bouncing works a lot better. This is incredible. The space lights are free. A bunch of these lights are free, and I'll kind of guide us through which ones are free and just like add as many as you want. Change the colors as much as you want. Really incredible. Usually as the quality goes up, the render time goes up. That's like normally how computers are supposed to work in software, but not in UE5. They've done some absolute magic here, and we're just getting higher and higher quality, yet the speed, you still need a good computer, but the speed is still really, really fast. It's really nice. In the next videos, I'm not sure what I'm going to make. I'm going to be live streaming on the Cinematography Database YouTube channel, the development of this. I'm in a pretty good place with it now. It took a couple months to get this kind of like first version together and learn the rules, but quite happy with it now. And I'm going to be live streaming, making more assets and testing more lighting setups and building different stages for us to check out. And it should be a good time. Feel free to stop by there, leave any feedback, and I will check you on the next video. Peace.